Let's be real. If you're like most students, you're probably feeling overwhelmed when studying, especially when you think you have a lot to cover. Do you ever feel like you are falling behind, never catching up and thinking, I just need to study more? But I'm about to flip your whole world upside down. Because studying more isn't the answer, it's actually part of the problem. I know that sounds crazy. I mean, how can studying less possibly make you better? Hear me out. I learned this the hard way, and I'm about to share something that completely changed my game. Let me tell you a story about a student. We'll call her Jeanette. She got straight D's her first quarter in college, so she decided to go hardcore. 6 hours of studying every night, not even sparing Sundays. She reads through 6 p.m. to midnight. No breaks. Just pure grinding. You want to guess what happened? She failed. Everything. 0.0. This isn't rare. It happens to students everywhere, and nobody talks about the real reason why. See, when Jeanette sat down at 6 o'clock, something interesting happened. By 6:30, she was in a major slump, but because she promised herself she'd study for 6 hours, she just sat there, staring at her books, hating every subject more and more. Here's what changed everything for me. I got to understand that our brain can only focus effectively for about 25 to 30 minutes at a time. You don't believe me? The University of Michigan did this crazy study. They had hundreds of freshmen track exactly when their brain checked out while studying. But guess what? Right around that 25 to 30 minute mark, every single time. Let's think about it like this. When you're in class, what happens about 25 minutes in? Yeah, you know that feeling. Your mind starts wandering, everything gets foggy, and suddenly those Instagram and WhatsApp notifications seem really important. It's not because you're broken or lazy. It's literally how your brain works. So what's the solution? Here's where it gets good. The moment you feel that mental slide happening, you know, when you've read the same paragraph 3 times and still don't know what it says, take a break. I'm serious. Get up, walk around, grab some water, do something you enjoy for about 5 minutes. And here's the cool part. After taking that 5-minute break, your brain recharges to almost 100% effectiveness. It's like magic. Instead of pushing through 6 hours of misery like Jeanette, you could study for 30 minutes, take a quick break, and come back fresh. Do this right, and you'll get more done in 2 hours than most people get done in 6. Now, let's talk about where you study, because this is huge. Most of you are probably studying in your bedroom, right? Big mistake. Let me tell you about this experiment that was carried out at the University of Hawaii. They gave students one simple thing, a study lamp, not some fancy expensive gadget, just a basic lamp. The only rule? They could only use it for studying, nothing else. No scrolling on their phone under it, no late night snacking, just studying. Want to know what happened? These students went up an entire grade point. One lamp, one grade point. Why? Because they accidentally discovered something powerful. Your brain loves routines. When you only use that lamp for studying, your brain starts associating it with focus time. It's like training a puppy, but the puppy is your brain. Here's another game changer. Stop trying to memorize everything. Your brain isn't designed to remember random facts. It's designed to remember stories. Think about it. You can probably remember every detail of your favorite movie, right? But that chapter you read last night? Complete blur. So here's what you do. Instead of just reading stuff over and over, turn it into something meaningful. Take history, for example. Don't just memorize dates and names. Ask yourself, who are these people? What did they want? What problems were they facing? Suddenly, it's not just boring facts, it's a story your brain actually wants to remember. And please, while you're at it, get away from your phone. I know. It's 2024, everything's digital. But here's the thing, when you're trying to study on your phone or laptop, you're basically putting yourself in a room full of distractions. It's like trying to diet while living in a candy store. That X notification, it's not just a distraction, it's killing your focus. Let me tell you something else nobody talks about. You've got to stay awake to learn. Sounds obvious, right? But how many of you are trying to study when you're half asleep? Your brain needs to be firing on all cylinders to actually absorb information. That's why energy is the first pillar of effective learning. And here's another secret. Change your study environment sometimes. You'll be surprised. The library isn't always better than your usual spot, but just changing it up for a day does something amazing to your brain. It's like hitting the reset button on your focus. You know what's funny? Most students think being a good student means studying more, but that's like saying being a good chef means cooking longer. It's not about the time, it's about the technique. You need to give yourself time to upgrade your methods. It's like taking a short-term loss for a long-term win. Look, I get it. This all sounds too good to be true. Study less and get better grades. But think about it like this. If you're using a dull axe to cut down a tree, you can swing that axe all day and barely make a dent. Or you can take a break, sharpen your axe, and cut that tree down in half the time. That's what we're doing here. We're sharpening your axe. We're upgrading your study game. Because let's be real, the methods you used in high school, they're not cutting it anymore. The game has changed, and it's time for you to change with it. Here's what I want you to do. Start with one thing. Just one. Maybe it's the 30-minute study chunks. Maybe it's the study lamp. Pick one thing and try it for 2 weeks. What's the worst that could happen? You waste a couple of weeks? But what if it works? What if you could actually study less and learn more? Yo, if you've stuck with me this far, take a moment and be proud of yourself. Not everybody takes their future this seriously. Even if you're not getting the grades you want right now, the fact that you're here, trying to improve, that matters. Remember this, studying less isn't about being lazy. It's about being smart with your time and energy. It's about understanding how your brain actually works and using that knowledge to your advantage. Trust me, your future self will thank you for making these changes now. And hey, one last thing, be patient with yourself. These changes don't happen overnight. Start small, build up gradually, and trust the process. Because once you get this right, you'll never want to go back to those marathon study sessions again. That's not just a promise, that's a guarantee. Now, go get yourself a glass of water because you've probably been sitting here for a while and your brain needs that hydration to process everything we just talked about. You've got this. Time to study less and learn more.